this country. We have so many things that we are not as university able yet to prepare our human capital to support.
Professor, in bringing these programs into existence at the University of Guyana, is this a best practice, or I should say, are these best practices taken from other countries? Do these sort of degrees exist in other parts of the world?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, we are playing catch up in a lot of things. Not only in what we deliver, what we offer, but in how we offer them and who offers them to us. And so what I did last week, I led a large team to Trinidad and Tobago. I took the dean of what is now called technology. We'll be changing the name to engineering and technology. I took the dean, chairman of chemical, chairman of civil, all the department chairs, and the assistant dean, and my deputy vice chancellor for planning and international engagement. We spent a day at University of Trinidad and Tobago. We spent a day at University of West Indies, looking at their operations, looking at their labs, looking at their curriculum, looking at their relationship with industry, because we're going to have those relations cemented. And so that is a best practice. People ask me, well, when are we going to offer this in energy? I say, look, calm down. You got to have the capability not only to offer, but to offer with quality and to offer it on a sustained basis. And so part of the conversation out of Trinidad and Tobago will help to inform a stakeholder session we're having on the 24th, where we're bringing all the major players from the energy sector, from the government and the university, to have a one-day conversation. Let's hear what the industry needs are. Let's hear what the government side needs are. And then, parallel to that, I've commissioned a capability and needs assessment within the university. I need to know, the university leaderships need to know, what is it that we have and what is it we might need. And the needs and the capabilities are not only in engineering. I was remarking to a group when we came back, I held a debriefing. For us to do quality delivery of petroleum studies, we're going to need to have better physics. We're going to need to have better chemistry. For us to do justice to what the energy sector will need, we're going to have better occupational health and safety in health sciences. And so the investment and the assessment has got to be broad. And that is what we are aiming to do.
Ambassador and Dr. Narine, feel free to comment on the new programs and so on, and some of what Professor has said. But in the meantime, while you're probably thinking about those, because again, we don't want to lose our students. We don't want to lose our citizens to other countries. But especially with the new programs, will they be internationally recognized?
Part of what came out of Trinidad last week is I'm bringing 2 technical advisors, one from UWI St. Augustine, one from University of Trinidad and Tobago, in part to help us on that. Certification and accreditation just don't happen. You've got to build a base for it. You've got to have the labs. You've got to have the qualified teachers. You've got to have the degree programming. And so we need to start that journey in ways in which we have not really invested. Keep in mind that the University of Guyana of 2017 comes out of a long neglect in every area. So it's now building that capacity. What I've said to people on campus, I know we're going to have some hard decisions, because I saw it when I spent the 12 years at Florida International. We're going to have to make strategic investments in some areas, and it's going to create jealousy and animosity, because we're going to have to pay those engineering faculty the same salaries that are competitive elsewhere. And people in English and people in political science are going to say, what about me? Egalitarianism does not work in a university when you're trying to catch up and meet some benchmarks. So we are far away from what we need to get certification. But that's a journey that we're going to have to, which is why I'm not going to tell you the names of the 2 distinguished gentlemen I'll be bringing. They've already committed. One even said to me, Vice Chancellor, I would come and work for free. I said no. But we have got to find a way to have the investments made. And the investments are going to be needed from the government, from the industry, and from the citizen.
Every time you come on this program, I have to ask, because it is very important, especially when you're working on either branding a university, any university, any institution, as a matter of fact, any organization, as you're doing with the University of Guyana. When you're either working on branding or improving, you will get a fight. There are people who will not come on board. And every time you come here, I like to ask you, have you made progress in people's realizing not only Professor Ivelaw Griffith's vision, but the vision that everyone should recognize in terms of promoting the University of Guyana? Have you been able to make more progress in terms of everyone there understanding what it is that you're doing, student society?
I think it's unrealistic, given where we have come from and the acclimation to certain realities, to expect rapidity of embrace. But I think we were able to demonstrate tangibly that some of the things I'm asking us to do are not because of self-interest, it's because of the needs of the students first and foremost, and the broader university community. So there has been, in every enterprise, some reluctance, some sabotage, some resistance,
pullback,
some pullback, some
and
pushback.
we read about some of those too.
But I think I am keeping my eye on the prize, and we're making concerted efforts to embrace within Guyana and outside of Guyana. And some people may choose to go elsewhere. Some people will be encouraged to go elsewhere, because we've got to focus on why we're here. We're not here for the individual staff persons. The reason there's a vice chancellor is because there are students to be done. We've got to put those students' interests front and foremost. And so I want to thank the leadership of the one union that has seen the wisdom of saying, Vice Chancellor, I may be reluctant, but I'm going to sign this agreement with you that says performance is important. And I'll say publicly what I've said on campus and in other interviews. I will not be retreating from my insistence that for the second union, performance has got to be part of the agreement. You know, in a press release we issued a couple of days ago, I said, you think of the letter P. The P for payment is important, but the P for performance is also important. You can't want the conversation to be about payment, salary increase. I don't want to talk about performance. So I'll be happy when the second union is ready to come and sign. And if we were able to sign on Monday, we can make the payments in November. If Monday is not the good day and they're willing to sign later on, we'll make the payment in December. But I am ready to go to conciliation if they are reluctant to sign. I will not be doing justice to my responsibility to say, let's do the salary increase, but have no conversation with performance.
I know I have to let you gentlemen go soon, because you have a lot to do. Before I even get some modest sentiments from Dr. Narine and Ambassador, to be specific, you have said that grades must be.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Have you seen improvement
yes.
in that area? Okay, so.
Seen improvement, but the improvement that we've seen so far is necessary but not sufficient.
Necessary but not sufficient. All right, yes. And I think we hope it gets sufficient very soon. Ambassador and Dr. Narine, I'm going to give you the floor now to remind the viewers of anything you'd want to remind them on, and even sentiments, comments, supportive comments, or so on some of the things that Professor has said.
Professor Griffith raised a number of important points, a number of very, very critical issues affecting the university. And when I read that grades were not handed in, I mean, it is unconscionable that you would not hand in the grades as a professor, as someone who has been with the students for the entire year. These are your students. You work with them. You know their strengths, their weaknesses. You test them. And you should not hold them hostage for any reason whatsoever. In my time, when I was a student in the department, we used to rush as soon as these grades were handed in. We knew when they were going to be handed in. And we used to rush downstairs in the Faculty of Arts building, and it was published in a notice board, a glass notice board. It was in the glass case, and we would look for our names and our grades and see if we passed and all of that. That is what the university should be about. This is what good standards are for. And every university that treasures itself and value its standards would have grades as one of the preemptive things that the lecturer, professor, or anyone else would do. And it breaks my heart to find out that grades were not handed in for years. What's the reason for that? And the students can't graduate, they can't apply for postgraduate courses, they can't move on in promotion. I mean, it's a whole wide range of things when the grades are not there. And it's really mind-boggling. So Professor Griffith said, and I'm heartened to hear that there has been some progress, but not enough. Progress. And I don't know why we're not having 100% compliance.
Hopefully we'll get there very soon.
Hopefully we'll get there very soon. And the other thing I want to talk about is that he's spoken about the wide range of excellent opportunities that the university presents for the community, and we would like to support that from the diaspora point of view, because we don't live here or work here, but what we can do is to publicize the great things that he's doing for the university, and we do that through my newspaper columns and television programs and everything else that I have access to, and bring and sensitize the community in Queens and the greater New York area that here is the University of Guyana and it needs their help and support. And many people who read these things are alumni of the University of Guyana living in New York. So now they're getting a picture, a view of the university in a positive way, as opposed to, like you said at the beginning, some of the negative things that were attached to the university earlier on. And people can't now say that we're not making progress, because I tell them very proudly, well, look, I am part of the process. I know, when they talk about the university, I say, I know I'm an ERA, I know what's going on. Professor Griffith has been in New York and he met with some people, and this is the latest position. Plus, one of his great strengths is that he communicates, and he communicates very well, and you've seen it today. Through the newspaper columns, YouTube, releases all the time, the newsletter from the University of Guyana, monthly, bi-monthly newsletters, in which we get and we circulate that, and it covers a whole wide range of things that the university is doing. Tane and Turkine talks, which we never had before. And these are on contemporary topics that affect the community, so that the university is reaching out, as any good university should do. Any university worth its salt should be reaching out, because reputation and respectability go hand in hand for any high institution of learning. And so we're very pleased in the diaspora to be part of his vision. Our vision is tied to his vision. And I think we're making great progress. And tomorrow, we will be talking a little bit more about that in this convocation exercise.
Dr. Narine, you seem as excited as a graduating student.
I'm a 16-year-old in 1972.
Okay, great. Ambassador, your sentiments.
Yes, well, I would not want to get into the internal dynamics of the university, but I wanted to pick up on something that the Vice Chancellor said of broader import, which is the brain drain we face and the futility of training students just to see them go and help to build other foreign countries. It's a problem we've had for a long time. It's part of a well-known phenomenon in the third world. By way of example, when I went abroad to do my postgraduate work in 1976, I came back in 1980, and I'm a student of Queen's College, so I came up through the years, first form to sixth form, with 5 classes of 30 kids each, 150 students. When I came back in 1980, between 1980 and 1986, I worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If there were 5 students out of the 150 that I came up with in QC who were in Guyana at the time, working and contributing, there were a lot. I think there were 3 or 4 of us. And I'd come back because I had a scholarship from the government. And that was a moral choice I made to come back and serve for 5 or 6 years. And so it has been a problem of long standing. There were some figures I saw recently that are horrifying, that 80% of Guyanese with tertiary education
Very true.
are abroad. It's unsustainable. But the good news is that from where I sit at the mission of Guyana at the UN, I think we are beginning to stem that tide, if not reverse it, to stem it. Judging from the inquiries I receive, there seems to be a certain bullishness now about Guyana. I receive a lot of inquiries from serious people. I think the challenge now is to set up the structures to capture, channel that interest into opportunities and the reception at this end. It is not enough to say, come back. And I have some thoughts on that about coming back, because if you work with the diaspora unit, which is part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they're doing some fantastic work there in finding ways to capture the contributions of Guyanese who are not necessarily willing or able to come back to live in Guyana. There are innovative ways, some of them made possible by technology, where you can stay in Richmond Hill
And
on Queens and still make a contribution. So I don't think we need to think of the problem as one of losing forever the contribution of qualified Guyanese. We have to be innovative and find ways to capture their contribution to make it possible to come back during their vacation, for example. Instead of going to Cancun or to the Bahamas for 2 weeks, you come back and volunteer at UG or elsewhere. But you have to get a system where you can match
Yes,
needs
system.
in Guyana with your
Exactly.
database of people who are willing and able to come, what are the fields, dates of availability, and so on. That's the challenge. So, in sum, I am optimistic because it's not where you are, but you have ahead of you this vision of where you want to be. And you have a leadership who is not only a single person, but because we don't rely on persons, you rely on institutions. But he has been able to build a team around him. And I think he's infected a lot of people with this enthusiasm, and people respond to that. And I think we're on the right track. The problems should not be underestimated, but I think we have solutions in sight. It will build, it will snowball. And it's great to be part of this enterprise. And both as an alum of the university and as the ambassador to the UN now, there are ways in which possibly I can contribute on the
Yes.
both caps. And I'm very happy to be part of this exciting enterprise of revitalizing the university.
Thank you,
Let me just
Ambassador.
add
Sure.
a caveat to that, and that is to say that one of the things that we did in Queens, in terms of sharing the technology, because the technology is there, is to go to high schools in Queens, high schools that are manned and run by mainly people from Guyana. There's a high school that is very good at robotic engineering. And you know, our robotic engineering
Yes,
team here
yes, they're
went to
taking off.
Washington and flew the
Very
flag very proudly. So what we did was to approach this Richmond Hill High School, of which the principal is a Guyanese, Mr. Neil Ganesh. And I said to him, well, you know, when he knew about it, because he sent a team too. So he said, you know, Guyanans did so well. And I said, well, what you got to do now is that you have to share your technology with the schools in Guyana.
Yes.
And he said that will be an easy thing to do, because on my staff, there are teachers who really want to make this happen. So 2 weeks ago, I kept bugging him, and 2 weeks ago he said he passed on all the information to his team, and they're going to, through Skype, team up with schools in Guyana, some of the top schools, and share classroom experiences. So you don't have to really come to New York, from New York here to handle that, because the technology is there, and make use of the technology.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Narine. Well, it's that time where I have to wrap up my conversation. Before I do that, Professor Griffith, you're on the inside. I always like to ask you if there's anything that I probably didn't ask about that you would like the public to know at this time. And again, give the public a reminder of what is happening tomorrow in terms of the change of venue.
Okay. So tomorrow we have two ceremonies. One at 10 o'clock at the National Cultural Center. One at 4:30 at the Sophia Exhibition Center. And let me take this opportunity to congratulate all the graduates and their families and supporters, and to thank the lecturers and the staff, academic and non-academic, who enabled them to come to this point of their academic journey. But on the 20th of this month, we're having our current distinguished artist in residence, Dave Martins. We're having a fundraising concert for the hurricane victims. That's going to be at Theatre Guild. Welcome. It's paid opportunity to support. There was mentioned by, I think, Dhanpaul of the Turkine and Tain Talks.
Yes.
The last one for the year, which is going to be a milestone number 10, and we're going to have a big event around it. We'll focus on climate change and environment. It's going to be at Pegasus. I want, before the end of the year, to bring our distinguished artist in residence on this program, Dave Martins.
You are
Because
welcome to that.
Dave is working on a special composition for UG.
Mm-hmm.
And I want him to come with me and talk about it. We're going to have a premiere of, say, Song for UG at our holiday party on campus in December. I want to tell you the date yet.
Oh.
But he's going to premiere it there, and we're going to work to have it recorded, CDs made, both for fundraising and for appreciation to friends and alumni. So we're in a place that we're building forward. We've got lots of challenges, but we're managing them. If you were to come to campus now, you'll see the work going on swiftly on the new student complex. If you come to campus now, you'll see work on the expansion of the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry. And I don't know where you take your classes, but GWLT is air conditioned.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And
Small
you know,
lecture theater is air conditioned.
you see, the thing is about that, Professor, is that I have been at the University of Guyana from, I'm in third year now, for those of you who don't know, from first to third year, and I'm like, okay, they wait until I got to third year, where I don't have to use GWLT. But the small lecture theater, I've experienced
Good.
there. So
Good.
That's a
I
beautiful
still got it.
building.
That's a
Yep.
beautiful building
Yep.
indeed.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. It's always a pleasure to
Thank
have
you for
you.
having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, viewers, if you're now tuning in, you've missed a great one. As always, those of you who follow me on social media, if not today, before the end of tomorrow, the program will be loaded to YouTube, and it will also be posted to Facebook. Once again, thank you very much to Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Professor Ivelaw Griffith, to of course to Dr. Narine for coming,
Thank
and UN Ambassador, of course, Mr. Michael Ten-Pow. Thank you so very much. gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We love UG.
Okay, great. And that's on a good note to go to. Viewers,
Absolutely.
will
Thank
take a very quick break. On the other side of the break, I'll deal with some housekeeping matters. And of course, by that time, it will be time to wrap up today's program. This is Facing the Nation. Stay tuned. for staying with Facing the Nation. Unfortunately, it's almost time for me to leave you today, but I'm forced to wrap up today's program on a very sad note. We have experienced some very horrible things this week. I did not want to start on that note because, of course, we focused on University of Guyana education and the fact that University of Guyana's graduation is tomorrow. But we've seen and we continue to see some very horrible things happening in our society. On that note, I'd like at this point to give my deepest sympathies and condolences to the Branch family, Miss Kesaya Branch. May her soul rest in peace and, of course, rise in glory. And it is horrible that, whether male or female, that we have people living and dwelling among us who would do this to a young woman. Most of you are familiar with what happened to that young lady. She was beaten and, left to the side of the road for dead. I'm assuming that the culprits, which I know will be revealed very soon, as I can tell you from the news bulletins and so on that we're getting on this matter. The investigators seem to be working overtime so that her family can get justice, and it is unfortunate that we're living among people who will do this. People are they're behaving worse than animals, and once again, my condolence and sympathy to her relatives and friends who are grieving at this time, and we'll remember them in our prayers and hope that they can somehow find closure and grief. I don't think this is something that they will ever get over, but I hope that eventually they will be able to grieve fully and to find closure. But what is most disappointing about all of this is you read as those of you who are on social media, people have turned this young lady's demise into, I can't even find a word to describe what they have turned it into. People are on social media and they're picking on journalists who reported what happened or who ethically reported what happened, and then there's a back and forth between journalists and people who are condemning the reports, and emotions are getting mixed up and people are becoming nasty and vile to one another. And what has happened? You have forgotten that a young woman has lost her life. A 3-year-old was left without a mother, and people are carrying on social media, and we're taking away from. This is a society that we're supposed to be fighting these, I'm going to say, unfortunately, animals who are living among us. It's unfortunate that these are the kind of people living among us and walking around us. I mean, I've gotten the signal to wrap up, but I also have to talk about the West Demerara, the Lagrange incident there, where it is alleged, it has been reported that, the police officer, may he also rest in peace, walked into the station. It's attempted murder. He shoot his girlfriend or fiance and then allegedly turned the weapon on himself. We need to pray more in our society. We need to be more alert and more aware and look out for the signs. Look out for the signs that people around us either depressed, they need help, or people around us who are just plain and simple murderers. And it's unfortunate that is the note I will end today's program on. Once again, thank you very much to the gentlemen who came and shared with us as those persons prepare to graduate from the University of Guyana tomorrow. And on that note, I also say to them, congratulations, and we trust that everything that you would have learned, whether over 2, 3, 4 years at the University of Guyana, it will make you better if you're already